Welcome, y'all. Peace. It's Melissa L. Jones here with the Edible Activist Podcast. Oh my gosh, like the day has come, the time has come. This is the official relaunch of the podcast on YouTube. We are live. Oh my goodness, I'm nervous. So we're going to go ahead and get started, but I need you all right, to rep your set. I need to know where you're tuning in from. I don't care if you're in the garden, you're in the farm, the side yard, if you are in Mississippi, Alabama, like just drop in the chat. And again, do not leave me hanging where you're tuning in from. So I'm tuning in from DC. I have a special guest who's actually tuning in from, I'm going to keep the city and the state, low key. You'll hear from her in just a moment, but please let me know where you're tuning in from. I would love to shout you out. Again, welcome. I'm Melissa L. Jones, and I am the host of the Edible Activist Podcast. And let's see who we got. Hey, Professor Celeste. Yes, all the way from Maryland. You not far. Okay, Keisha Boo, I see you. Brandywine. Yes, I love it. Deborah. Hey, Edible Activist. Let's go. Yay. Okay, Michelle. We got VA. Simi from Atlanta. Y'all, I feel so special. Oh my goodness. I love it. Okay, Authentic, Northeast DC. All right, we're neighbors. I'm in Northwest. Absolutely. Yes. Welcome, y'all. We're going to get acclimated to this space. Again, I am elated. I am thrilled. I don't have too many jitters, to be truthfully honest. This is my space. This is my jam. And so again, I just want to welcome you all to the Edible Activist Podcast, and we're live on YouTube. So again, Gretz, I love it. Drive it to the grocery store. All right, DC, I appreciate you. I love it. Yes. So for those who are just tuning in, go ahead and just drop your city where you're tuning in from. Again, I don't care if you're sitting on top of a mountain, a hill, just let me know where you're tuning in from, because I want to shout you out. I want to acknowledge you. So again, welcome. Yes, Kathy and Betty from Atlanta, Georgia. Okay, we got two folks from Atlanta, three officially from Atlanta. I love it. I think I'm supposed to be in Atlanta next month, y'all. So FYI, but welcome, Baltimore. Crystal, yes, I love it. Yes, from Baltimore in the building. Baltimore is one of my favorite cities. I just want to let everybody know, if you have not heard, Baltimore is one of my favorite cities. Okay, so we got DC. We got a lot of DC up in here too. So I love it. Absolutely. I love it, y'all. All right, awesome. So the other thing that I want to do, thank you for shouting out your city. Again, for those who are just getting acclimated to the space, let me know where you're tuning in from. I'm going to get started in just a few moments. But what I want to do next, I got to shout out my Edible Activist alum, y'all. I got to. If you have been on this show before, okay, you are officially an Edible Activist alum. All right. So I need to know if you've been on this show, and Crystal Mack is actually one of them. All right. So I'm going to shout her out all the way from Baltimore. Okay. She's been on this show, but if you are an alum, I need you to drop that in the chat. I have over 100 episodes, and I have sat down and talked to a lot of people. And so I know that I got some folks, some of my pals in this space. So if you're an Edible Activist alum, I really want to shout you out. Again, thank you, Crystal Mack, for showing up. That really just warms my heart. I love it. Ooh, we got Boston in the place. Oh my goodness. Okay, Boston. I love it. Kate. Hi, Kate. Thank you. I appreciate you, Kate, so much. I really do. So again, welcome, guys. I can't say that enough. You're going to hear me say that for the next few moments. But again, if you are an Edible Activist alum, shout out to y'all. Don't be shy. You know me. I have a wild personality, all right? And I will call you out, or probably give you a call later and say why you didn't say anything. But I definitely want to honor those who have been on my show and just shout out all of our alum. And just acknowledge you guys, because you're the reason why I freaking have a show. Like, seriously. Hey, Joanne, New Haven, Connecticut. Goodness gracious. Yes. Thanks, Chris. I love you too. I love what you do too. I do. Major support. So awesome. All right, y'all. So do me a favor, guys. If you see anybody in the chat, or just say, hey, if you're just joining in, go ahead and rep your city. And if you're an Edible Activist alum, let them know to drop stuff in the chat. I am going to be multitasking. I got a lot going on. I got lights on me. I got cue cards, y'all. I got this whole production situation here. It's a whole lot going on. Hey, Asha, DMV, I see you, boo. Yes, I love it. So yeah, it's a whole lot. So if I mess up in quotes, forgive me. This is the first for me. I'm super excited. Much love to you all. And so we're gonna keep this program or this live moving. So for some, this is a reintroduction. And for others, this is an introduction into who I am. And so just if you guys see me looking down, and actually before I even get into that, really quickly, just a few like light housekeeping things. Continue to be engaged in the chat. The number one way for us to like have a really engaging experience and this to be fun for everyone is to utilize the chat. Because if not, you're going to be bored. And I don't want you to be bored. And there's nothing boring about Edible Activists. There's nothing boring about Food Talks in Color at all. This is vibrant. This is rich. Okay. Fun of like filled with wonderful conversations and dialogue. So please utilize the chat. Anything that resonates with you, any points you want to drive home, please utilize the chat. I will be checking them back and forth. Again, I got a whole lot going on, so I appreciate your grace in advance. And as always, everyone is entitled to their perspectives and their opinions, but let's just be respectful too. So I want to honor that. So please continue to utilize the chat, rep your set, okay? And if you're an Edible Activist alum, like, let me know. I want to be able to acknowledge you. So, again, let me just go back in here. I love it. Radiant. Let me just go ahead and, yes, I love that so much, y'all. And if I have like double stuff up, like just don't mind me because again, I'm still just trying to get used to all of this, but I want to put the semi-light radiant purpose, radiant vibes. We're happy to be here. Yay. I appreciate you, Semi. That's awesome. Thank you so much. All right. So let's go ahead. I'm going to keep this thing moving. And again, you're going to see me looking like to the left, to the right. I got cue cards. I got my phone next to me, making sure that everything is cool. And so I'm getting acclimated to this, but hello everyone. Melissa L. Jones here, host of the Edible Activist podcast. I am also the founder and creator of Food Talks in Color. Again, I am just beyond thrilled to be in this space, beyond thrilled to relaunch the podcast on YouTube, where I will be spending my time. The podcast will be living here, so more to come on that. But I think it's always important to go back to my why. It's always important for anyone to actually go back to their why in terms of like why I created this entire platform. Some of you have heard this story, and I'm going to keep this very brief. And I actually promise this is not going to be a long live because this is my soft launch. And there'll be more to come with future broadcasts. But when I was actually in the space of educating myself on farming and agriculture, I was the only person of color actually showing up in some of these spaces. And honestly, this is pre-pandemic, years back. And as the great-granddaughter of a sharecropper, my family hails from Mississippi, I was really confused. And I said, why aren't there folks who look like me in this space? And so I really want to do something about it. And those who have actually been with me since day one, like before the podcast, before Food Talks in Color, you've seen different iterations of this. And I knew that I actually had to pivot and really focus this platform on amplifying the voices of Black people and people of color in food and agriculture, because we've been galvanizing this space for ever, okay? And so I knew it was really important to create space for our voices to be heard. And so that's why I created this. And so there's even, there were moments where I was just trying to, where I was actually going through my own health journey. My mother was going through her health journey, and I was actually learning through her, and I was making the food and the health connection, and I felt duped. I was like, what in the world? I was like, our food system has been duping me forever. It has been duping us since forever. And so, I was exploring soil. I was exploring food and health. I was exploring farming and gardening and all those things. There's so many different intersections of food, but I was like, where are our voices? I was like, I know we're present. And I was like, I'm going to find them. So I pivoted, started Food Talks in Color, which I'll speak to that vision in just a bit. And really what that is, and really what it will be, is if you all actually captured, if you were at the start of this, at the start of the live, and you saw that amazing, vivid video, that is Food Talks in Color. that is really speaking to the vision of Food Talks in Color and really creating these visuals, this beautiful cinematography. Shout out to my homie Authentic, who is actually the mastermind, All or Nothing Studios, behind that video, like really brought that vision to life. So when I think of Food Talks in Color, and when I say Food Talks in Color, please think of that video, okay? Think of micro docs, think of visuals, think of movement, because this work is extremely visual and our stories are rich. The garden is rich, it's colorful, and that speaks to that vision, right? With the edible activist, really, and I want to go and y'all, sorry, if you're chatting, thank you so much for dropping where you're from. I just want to acknowledge that. And really just going into, and pardon me, y'all, because again, I'm kind of like all over the place with my overlays and stuff. I'm trying to get this together. But the mission, of just going to edible activists in general, like I really want to create a digital dialogue of our voices. Just think back. I can't tell you how many conversations I have with my folks, my good folks, friends, who say, I remember talking to my grandmother about how she used to garden. I remember talking to my grandfather about, how he used to farm. And I actually remember being at the farm with my grandparents. I remember conversations around the kitchen table coming up, experiencing different foods and different cultures. And really, how I grew up an entire melting pot. So I remember having so many diverse experiences when it came to food, right? And I remember those conversations with like my Jamaican neighbors, with my El Salvador neighbors, my Ethiopian neighbors, and really like, where did those conversations go? You have them, and it's a blessing to be able to hold on to them, but to really store them somewhere, like that really is like my overarching mission, with Edible Activists and the platform in general, to be truthfully honest, is to really create this digital dialogue of our voices so that we can go back and just be like, oh my goodness, just go back in time. So that's really what my aim is. With Edible Activists, I seek to amplify, I do amplify the voices of Black people and people of color in food and agriculture, and that's super duper important to me. And so I have had the honor of hosting and interviewing, I haven't even really counted actually, but I have over 100 episodes. Y'all, a little secret, I didn't even know that I was going to be doing a podcast. I really didn't. I did not know I was going to be doing a podcast. I knew that I wanted to create Food Talks in Color and create this media company, but like, I did not know that this opportunity to create a podcast was like even a thing. And then I did it. And I'm great at talking. I really am. I'm a personable person, so it just worked. And so it really was all divine that this has, come together. And I believe in the power of audio. I really do. I believe in the power of audio. But I knew that I needed to make a switch to something more visual, again, because this work is super visual and people need to see. And so with that, I'm just super elated to be in this space. The podcast will be living here every other Monday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. It'll be a full hour of interviews with amazing, dynamic guests in this space. And again, I'm just so super excited to bring this to life. I'm going to pause and see what else I see in the chat. So, all right. Love the new studio. Thank you. I appreciate that. Listen, y'all, I got to shout out Steve again for hooking me up and really showing me the ropes of this whole lighting thing. This is actually what kind of made me nervous because I don't got no experience in doing this. And I also have to say, and I was actually speaking to someone just a few moments about this, and I'm sorry, I have to put the spotlight on Steve again. Like, he was really instrumental in getting me to this place. Not only is an amazing artist, an amazing like production creative, he's a homie. I've known him since middle school. And you can buy a service, but you can't buy a vibe and you cannot buy a connection. And I got all three. So I just have to thank Steve again for giving me the confidence to do this because I wasn't going to do this, y'all. I said, I'm not showing up. I'm not doing anything live. I'm used to doing everything pre-recorded, but I just took a leap and he really gave me the confidence to show up And so I'm just, again, just super thrilled and excited to bring this to you all. I will be creating some space towards the end of this broadcast because I do want to hear from you. I want to hear what's been feeding you and what you have an appetite for. So just think about that when it comes to content and being in this space. So again, I have to just shout Steve out. Hey, Chris. Yes. Can't wait for the visuals. Oh my gosh. They're coming. They are coming. They are definitely coming. So, more to come. So, all right, y'all, as I stated before, please be patient with me. I got cue cards. I got production behind me. I'm looking at my phone. I want to make sure I'm not looking crazy. So some of the next things that I actually want to talk about is, what is cultivating this year? What is happening with the podcast? What can you expect? And you can expect a lot of things, to be truthfully honest. And so Cleveland, yes, Cleveland, yes, I love it. Sorry, y'all. Again, I'm multitasking. It's a whole lot going on. But there's a lot in store. Again, just going back to the amazing visual that I hope that all of you caught at the start of this broadcast. Like, that is what's in store. Again, that's speaking to the Food Talks in Color platform. That's speaking to those visuals, more narratives to come behind that. There needs to be more of us, in media, like showing those micro docs and really getting footage of the action that's out there on the land, getting footage that's out in the backyards, like there's stuff happening in our backyards, literally in the back of our houses, and it's really helping our community. So you can definitely look forward to that. In terms of the podcast, and again, being here, I'm going to say this again, the podcast lives here. I am grateful. I was at the line for a year and a half, 2 years, every Wednesday. And again, some of you all have been on this show. And again, Chris is an Edible Activist alum too. Thank you, Chris, always showing up and supporting me. And that was amazing. It was an amazing experience. I loved that space. It was dope. But again, I knew that I need to step it up. So definitely what you can expect is I'm living here on YouTube every other Monday, 7:30 p.m. I'm going to keep shouting that out. So remember to set your notifications. Engaging. This is going to be an engaging experience. This isn't just going to be yes, it will be a two-way conversation. Sometimes it may be a three-way conversation. The one thing that I actually love about this platform is that you're going to see multiple guests at times. Sometimes I'm not going to be up here by myself because I got to talk to people. That's how I am. I love talking to people. So it's going to be me and at least one other person, but it's going to be a diversity of narratives. Okay. More than two people. And I'm just super, super, super excited about that. So more engagement. Y'all are going to be in the chat. Y'all are going to be dropping comments. Y'all going to be telling me what's happening in other states. Y'all going to be dropping links. Okay. That's what's going to happen during this experience. I'm also going to hear from you all. We're going to address questions because there are things that can happen in a live that you necessarily sometimes can't do in audio, but it's going to be more visuals. Okay. We're going to show videos. We're going to do book reviews. This is really, it's going to, when I say super engaging, like that's what it's going to be. And that's what you have to look forward to. So I'm super excited about that. I also, the biggest thing for me too, is that I want this to be a resource to those. So, I deem all of our edible, like all of my guests, who come on this show, y'all are the real influencers, not me. Do not call me an influencer. I appreciate it, but I'm not. It's y'all are the influencers. I want everyday folks who look like me, to be empowered by this content. I want folks to, because I get questions all the time, y'all. How do I start a garden? How can I buy land? My family has a history of health ailments. What can I do with herbs can I take? I'm not the expert. I can get you the answers though. I can pull on some really amazing guests and get you the answers. But I want everyday folks to feel empowered and be able to take this information and to apply it. When I think of activism, I'm really thinking more so on the local level, but really starting individually. Like what are you doing to empower yourself? After you listen to an episode, what are you doing to take that information and to apply it to your daily life? That's what I want, So yes, like I'm creating a digital catalog of us, like influencers, those who are actually doing the work. But again, I want this space to be for our everyday folks to be like, you know what? I didn't start thinking about land until I started listening to Edible Activists and started seeing these micro docs. Like, that's what I want, or I didn't know anything about herbs until I came across this podcast. So that's what I want. And it goes deeper, it goes deeper. I want to talk about what's going on in the immigrant community. I want to talk about what's going on in the restaurant industry, because that's all connected. Agriculture and restaurant, our workers, like wages. There's so many intersections. It is. A lot of people say, Melissa, choose a niche. I can't. I just can't do it. I can't do it. It's just too much to talk about, and all of it's important. So, but what I will tell you is that the content will fall underneath themes, right? And so we're going to try my best. I'm going to try my best to stick to themes. Obviously, agriculture being one of them, but digging deeper, I really want to get into the science of agriculture, like really like science, like really like some nerdy stuff, for those who want to geek out about science. I think about it. I don't know if Niraj is in the building. Maybe he is, of Cultivate the City. I got to shout him out. Got some beautiful plants from him. But he's doing some amazing things with plants and science, and it is just amazing, okay? I want to go deeper. I want this to be a resource. I want how-tos. I want people to walk away like how to do something. So you're going to see more of that. But it's also going to be our voices, and still going to be our narratives. I want to know about your journey. I want to know about your family. I want to know about all the things. So, but going back to the theme, so agriculture, obviously, but going deeper, I really want to hone in on the science of it all, right? And then economic empowerment. I've had entrepreneurs on this show, and really, leveraging food and agriculture to build business to, yes, make money, because we got to get paid. We are creatives, all right? Run me my check, please, and thank you. But also how their business is helping the community as well, all through the love of food and agriculture. And again, that you can in being empowered. So again, that's just another theme, just to think about. The other theme as well is the health and wellness piece to it, like that I've had conversations with healers and herbalists, what they're doing to heal their bodies, the work that they're doing with women to heal their wombs. Like, again, it all intersects. So that's another theme. And of course, food justice. And I will say that, there's some folks who are not privy to all the terms and concepts that come with food justice, not privy to the terms and concepts that may come with this work, especially within the BIPOC community, because this can get deep. And if we even talk about racial equity, that's a whole nother ball game, okay? I really do want this to be everyday language for everyone, because also I'm still learning. I don't have the answers. I will tell y'all that right now. I do not have the answers, but the guests that I bring on my show, they do. And that's why they're influencers, and that's why they're experts. So that's the major thing. That's what's cooking. That's what's growing. Again, if any of this resonates with you, if anything, you've been thinking about as I've been talking, hopefully I'm at a pace that's comfortable for you all. Drop it in the chat. I want to hear from you. Thank you so much, Celeste. I appreciate you. I do. I see the vision, and it's growing. So yes, Gemini, y'all, I got a birthday coming up, 40. I'll be the 40 on Saturday. Yes. It's a lot happening in my world, okay? Why I decided to launch the same week of my birthday, because I was not delaying this, all right? It had been months. I have not had a podcast episode in 6 months, and really it was intentional for 3 months. I didn't know we were going to 6 months, but I needed a rest. And I really needed to think this thing through, and it's just going to get better. So I appreciate you all's patience. So, yeah, birthday turn up. Yes, old woman style, okay? Because I don't got it, y'all. I really don't. I really don't got it. So I just want to put Chris, the homie. I'm interested in seeing more nature-based activities. Bird watchers. Oh my goodness. Yes. Foragers. Absolutely. Rock climbing, hiking. Y'all, I went rock climbing years ago. When I tell you my body was in so much pain, and I know it was like the good pain that I needed, but I hear you, Chris, and I absolutely love that. Again, if there are any other ideas that you all have, again, I'm gonna create space, but keep dropping it in the chat, because I do want to hear from you. So anyway, so we're going to keep it moving. And again, Thank you for your patience because I am multitasking and I am hot with all these lights, but we gonna make it do what it do. And let me just make sure I'm not missing anything else in the chat. Love that this space is a honeypot of knowledge to put to practical use in my life. Yes, I love that so much, Michelle. And that's what I want. That's what I want. I received an email and I hope that she's on. This was some months ago. And she sent me an email of this a sister. I think she lives here locally. I'm in DC, and she sent like several photos of her balcony garden. She said, Melissa, after it wasn't until I listened to your podcast that I decided to, start a balcony garden. And I got to shout out Chris because Chris is big on, I don't care if you live in a 300 square foot apartment, you can grow a tomato, a peanut, something. Okay. And that's what I want. And I appreciated that so much. And this was someone who, isn't in the space, someone who isn't standing on the front lines. This is an everyday person who's found this content very useful and interesting and sent me these photos. And it was so heartwarming. And so that's more of what I want. And we are going to make that happen. So I appreciate you, Michelle. That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you. Yes. Great way to bring in the birthday. Beautiful vision. I'm glad you think so, Professor Celeste. And y'all, I got to shout out Professor Celeste, who's like been the biggest cheerleader for me. Amazing. She's out in Baltimore doing her thing. And has done some amazing work with a food justice course at American University previously. So she actually taught a food justice course. And so just happy that I've been able to make that connection with Celeste. So I appreciate you for being here. So all right, y'all, keep the comments going. Do not leave me hanging because I will come looking for you after this podcast is over. But again, I really do appreciate you all. So I am super excited. I'm going to take a breath. Let me just breathe and calm myself, okay? I really just want to have I said I wasn't going to keep you all long, and I'm not. Again, I'm just excited about the relaunch of this podcast on YouTube. But I want to take a moment to have a dialogue and really just sit with this. And as you see, this title on the screen, why the color food activism matters. Like, just think about what does that mean to you and what comes to mind? How does that make you feel? And how would you answer that question? So I want to sit with that for just a moment. And I'm actually going to enter into a dialogue. I have a very special guest that I'm super excited about. She is amazing. Let me just say that. I use amazing a lot. She is amazing. An activist at heart, a fighter at heart, like a super duper like cheerleader. Like I am so blessed to like meet people who just been rocking with me since day one and up until this day, like still has my back. It's like crazy. But I invited her on last minute. Goodness gracious. I said, hey, don't you want to be on my live? She said, sure. I love her. I do. But I'm super excited to intro a very good friend of mine, Jennifer Lumpkin, who is the founder and creator of My Grow Connect. And I just want to like lean into My Grow Connect because I just don't think Jennifer couldn't have found like a better name for her platform because she literally is like the connector. And I mean, she's going to connect some stuff. Don't go looking for her to connect for free because that's not what we're doing. But she's amazing. And so she actually, I met her here in DC. She was a part of a farmers training program out in Prince George's County and has done a lot of work around the city and setting up farmers market, growing food, selling food, and just really just a dynamic person in this space. I've had her on my show before. Like a true intellect, just brilliant. Oh my goodness, just brilliant. A lot of y'all just way smarter than me, which is a good thing, which is a very good thing. But she since then has moved back to Cleveland. And I have to share this because I remember this conversation. She said, Melissa, like I'm helping people here, like grow food and, really just pushing out the gospel of food and agriculture and how this is like healthy and healing and helping communities. But she said, I have to go home and take care of my own family. And I will never forget that conversation. So she said, I'm going back to Cleveland because I got to take care of my mom. I got to take care of my family. You know, I got what I've been doing here. I got to transfer back to Cleveland to do this work. So I'm just super excited, and I'm going to bring her on in just a moment. But again, I just want this to sit with you, why the color of food activism matters. And myself and Jennifer, we are going to have a very short conversation about this. And so, without further ado, if I can get this right, I'm going to bring Jennifer on.
Hey, peace. I love that introduction. Thank you, friend.
Thank you. Thank you. You've been so supportive. I appreciate you. Like there's no I mean the introduction is just natural.
Right. You've been so supportive as well. I mean, it's reciprocal. So I'm just so happy to be here and to see everyone in the chat. I feel like I know these people personally
You
because
probably
I've
do.
listened to them. I follow you all on Insta. So I just feel like so connected. And I've been thinking about that question that you asked. And like, it's so, I couldn't imagine having a disconnect between like the pathway and the origin of our food stories and our lives. Like it just feels so enmeshed. It feels like they're one and the same, and like without really understanding and learning that and making sure we amplify that, it feels like that interconnectivity wouldn't be protected and preserved. So I just appreciate you as a griot. I appreciate you as really someone who's been diligent. You said every Wednesday? Okay. Okay. So yes, I mean you've been sowing the seeds and doing your own type of growing. So I appreciate that as well. So we don't ever want to lose that interconnectivity or those pathways. So I think that that is why it matters. Our lives matter. Without the interconnectivity of who we are, our food pathways, and our lives, what else would we really have?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, as someone who has been doing this work for such a long time, and the other thing that I appreciate about Jennifer is that we've had some pretty transparent conversations,
Yeah.
and really, around our bouts with the food system and the folks, some of the folks in this space, right, and kind of like ignoring the work that we do and our contributions, right? And that's in a number of ways. Again, not wanting to pay for the contribution. Let me just highlight that.
Right.
Not seriously, and not wanting to acknowledge, the contribution. And I really, when I was thinking, about this, and this kind of just popped up, like the color of like why the color of food activism matters. I wanted to pose that question to you because you have been on the front lines. You
Mm-hmm.
have.
Mm-hmm.
You have been on the front lines. You have been in the backyard, the side. When I say the backyard, the side yard, okay, the chicken coop.
I can remember when our farmers markets were all on the same day, same time, same location. The concept of doing like a Pretty Brown Girl Pop and moving our farmers market to all of the locations where our folks were partying, doing different events, and we popped up. That was a different type of idea of a farmers market. It wasn't something that was conventional or fit within the norm. And so we all began to think very differently about how we were operating and the systems we were operating in, and not asking to not be erased, but instead making ourselves we just started making ourselves present where and how we wanted. That was a really cool moment, and it's continued and graduated into owning land, right? Like creating the food sovereignty, not asking for it, not demanding, but commanding. So I appreciate
Mm.
you giving us the confidence, because this platform, I'll be honest, like it didn't exist when we were having the conversation in the parking lot about it. Uh, and I was giving you your little food bag, and you're like, I'm thinking about this thing. I'm like, yes, do it, please do it. So I'm happy to be here at this monumental moment, and happy early birthday.
Thank you. I appreciate you. I really appreciate you. I do. I do. So I want folks to, and sorry, I'm putting you a little bit on the spotlight because since you moved back to Cleveland, like what has just kept you moving in Cleveland and doing this work? Because I felt like when you went back to Cleveland, Jennifer, like you hit like Jennifer's always hitting the ground running.
I'm hitting
Like
the
there was
ground.
no
I hit the
sitting
ground.
down.
So yes, so when I first actually moved back home from DC, I had come off of a very traumatic event with growing because someone had ruined my collard green. I didn't really tell a lot of people this, but this is a new reveal. I'll reveal more on the podcast. But I decided at that moment I would never grow on land that I didn't own. So when I came back home, I was determined to own my own land, whether it meant I lived in a tiny home on a plot or I bought a house and I just basically took all the land around it. And that's what I did. I knew I needed to own a house or own property. So when I came back, I started working in democracy space, but I was always very vocal and amplified agriculture and agrarians because I knew that that was going to be where I would come back to. And so the last 3 years, I worked in voter engagement, democracy building, statewide organizing with our folks in Columbus. And through the work that I did, it really made my network much more knowledgeable about Black farmers because I was the only one in all these spaces. I wasn't in a circle like we were before in DC. I was the only one, really. And so, especially as a woman. So since then, I actually have co-organized a Black Farmers Lobby Day, the first ever at our Ohio State Capitol about 2 weeks ago, where we had our Black farmers from Cleveland, Cincinnati, Dayton, Columbus, and Toledo all actually meet with legislators to talk about policy, how we can support food sovereignty across our state for non-traditional Black farmers. So that's what I'm doing right now. And of course, you know, I was part of a farmer's market the last 2 years, but I'm working on creating something that will be my own mini market and helping scale up and create more opportunities in the supply chain. So I'll talk about all this more though.
Yes. That's just a sneak peek, and just as a prime, and really this is a primer, y'all, because Jennifer is gonna be my official guest on the 26th. So I'm telling you, like, I remember, oh my goodness, what was that event over in DC? The goodness, is where they bring all the farmers and growers in DC together. Is at a high school.
Rooting DC.
Rooting DC.
Oh yeah,
yes.
I was the organizer for before I left the last
Right.
year, the outreach. I forgot about that. Yes.
Well, remember, I did this whole thing of, you know, people telling their food stories, and it was
Yes.
you, and it was Xavier, and it was Violet, and I was just completely blown away. And Jennifer shows up with her skillet, and she tells this amazing story
So
of her origins. I love it. I love it. I absolutely love it. Okay. And it was just beautiful. But yeah, we're going to save some. But I'm not going to let you go without sharing a bit about the lavender you've been growing, because I love lavender. So can you just tell the people what you've been doing with the lavender?
Sure. So the first year that I lived here, I was trying to figure out what herbs I could grow successfully. And lavender is the one that lavender and sage were the two that just kept coming and popping and growing. So I've actually been doing some herbal blends with the lavender. So I've been making teas. I've also been making some skin and hair topical solutions. And I've also been sharing them with my homegirl, Sashel at Posh Pack. So she uses some of the lavender for her beauty products as well, her skin products. But I've been doing a lot of experimental added value products like lavender simple syrup. So I'm just trying to figure out, and I've used it in my jams. So everybody here locally and some folks in DC know because they purchased some too. Some of my famous jam that I made in collaboration with a local farmer in Canton, Ohio. I've used it in that as well. So I'm just trying to figure out what the sweet spot is for the lavender. But it seems like the simple syrup is where everybody in Cleveland goes. They like to mix it a little bit with Hennessy. I think that's what
I'm about to say.
with the simple syrup, but I'm gonna keep going with the simple syrup for now.
Simple syrup and Hennessy. I am not mad at that combination.
I love my city. I love my people, but they find creative ways to take these herbal essences and put them into something. I'm like, okay, all right.
I'm not mad at that at all. I am not mad at that. That is hilarious. I love it. I love it. All right. So that was just a sneak peek, but thank you so much for sharing that. I appreciate that. Let's see. Alexandria says, I had the best lavender latte in Savannah. Oh my gosh.
And Alexandra actually attended my recent inheritance series, the growers series, and she came to my Homestead and Nursery, and she makes these beautiful cocktails with all kinds of herbal essences. So y'all need to come to Cleveland. I'm sorry, like we need to just can we just get off and go to? Can y'all come to Cleveland?
I told you I was coming to Cleveland. I'm coming to
Okay.
Cleveland. I am coming
Yes.
to Cleveland. Mark my
Lavender
words.
latte. That sounds delicious.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate you so much.
Of
For
course.
y'all in the chat, my guests, again, I encourage you to just, really think about, my question of why the color of food activism matters. And so, oh, not you, me. Okay, sorry. Y'all, I'm still trying to
Okay.
work this thing. All right. There I am. There we go. So really why the color food activism matters. So, whatever resonates with you, go ahead and drop it in the chat. And again, I just appreciate Jennifer for supporting me and just having having her appear. I don't even want to call her a guest. Like she's a friend, man. Yes, come through. I love it. All right. So let's see. Y'all, you guys are so supportive. Christine, thank you so much. I have to put Adriana, shout out from Oakland. Oh my goodness. I'm an urban farmer growing food for kids in the local community. I love this podcast and the boosted confidence it has brought to my day to day. Much love. Y'all, I'm already hot and sweating. I do not want to start crying. Okay. I appreciate that. First of all, I've only been to Oakland once, was to a game. Adriana, can I come visit? Because Oakland, I know, is my jam, and I need to like be all in Oakland. Okay, Oakland got a lot of like dope like food things going on. Okay, so I shout out to you, Adriana. So just don't leave me hanging when I come out to Oakland. So I appreciate you for joining. Christine, thank you for joining as well. I appreciate you. You know what? Doesn't matter. You late, you showed up. That's what counts. So sending much love out to you. Simi from Atlanta. What I really love about this space you create is that it's equal parts food justice, food history, food art, and food access. Yes, it keeps it fun, informative, and celebratory. So excited you're back. I am too, Simi. I appreciate you. Yes, I love it. I love you. Thank you for all the love. Yes, definitely was a vibe. Yay. Jennifer is a vibe, y'all. And let me tell y'all, I really wish that y'all were here when she was doing Pretty Girl Pop. Forgive me in advance, but the farmer's market. And it was literally, you stroll up, they be having Cardi B playing. Like Jennifer would have like the veggies stewing in the pot. Like it was off some like lit farmer's market, like Zen, Erykah Badu, then back to Cardi B. Like it was amazing. Okay. Pretty brown girl pop. It was amazing. So you gotta bring that experience back up. Like you really do, Jennifer. It was awesome. Thank you, Catherine. I appreciate it. Oh, thank you, Mama Betty, all in Atlanta. I appreciate y'all. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. I told y'all I was not going to keep y'all long. And so just, as I wrap up, I want to open it up to you all actually. And again, this is really an opportunity for you all to drop in the chat. I did pose this question earlier, but I just want to put it up again. I want to hear back from you all, like content. So I consider this content that feeds. I really do. Like, I want folks to be fed. I want your soul to be fed. I want your mind to be fed. I want your body to be fed. I do not want to create content just to be creating content. I am not in the business for that. I don't have the time to do that. I want to be intentional. And so I am really interested in what do you have an appetite for? Chris has already shared some things, in the chat. And so I'm here, like I want to hear this, and I am going to be intentional about jotting down what you all put in the chat and really taking that into consideration for future content, because I want to know, it's just me and my brain, right? But it's going to be us together, let's build this together. Still going to be my decision. My platform, but I want to know, what do you have an appetite for? I am really interested in hearing that. So yes, so because we need to, thank you. That's y'all, my sister's in the building. We need to eat physically and mentally. You are right about that, child, because this world is a crazy. All right. But just let me know again, if you don't have an answer right now, that's totally fine. But what do you have an appetite for? What are the things that you might have been, things that you want to learn? Do you want to learn more terms and concepts, in the food and ag space? Do you want to learn more about food apartheid? Do you want to learn, how to grow your own herbs? Do you want to learn about local food? Do you want to learn about soil health? You know, do what more conversation around our historical figures who have really like shaped the space for us. You know, like I think of our ancestors and those who are in this space before us. You know, we can really go down deep into history who carved the space out for us. So just thinking about that, I just want to know what's your appetite. You know, what do you want to learn more about? Because I want this to be content that truly feeds you. You know, I want this to be applicable. I want you to walk away and feel fed, and I want you to walk away and be able to apply what you've learned and what you heard. So just continue to think about that. And so, yes, would love to engage with youth activists and voices. That is awesome. That's great. Like, you are really on spot with that, Professor Celeste, which I'll call you because you are. That let me tell you, the youth activists out here, like they are doing it, and it would be. I mean, and they are so resilient, and they are like they don't back down, y'all. So that would be really super dope to bring more youth activists and their voices into this space. And to really learn more about what they're doing in their communities, at their schools, within their families. Like, I think that would be a really, really cool to spotlight for sure. So I thank you for dropping that in the chat. Let's see. What up, Joe Ray? Joanne, how to grow across the country given the different weather. That is super important. You know, let me tell y'all, we got folks in this space who know zones, garden zones down to the T. I don't know this. They know it, but it is a thing, you know, whether you are living in Florida, if you're living in Cleveland. I just learned from, Jennifer, you know, right before the show, Cleveland doesn't get that much sun, you know, so it's science, it's everything, but that is very key. And I'll definitely notate that, Joanne, because we have gardeners, you know, and growers in this space who are so versed on that, you know. So thank you so much for putting that in the chat. And let's see. Oh yes, Jennifer, learning about what grows in other continents and where it grows well here. Yes, yes, and yes. Oh my gosh, yes, all of that, all of that. And also, I just want to go. I want to travel anyway, so I can go over there. eat all the good food, the diaspora. Absolutely. So I think that's super great idea too. So yes, for the travel. All right. Well, I appreciate you all for sharing. And really my last thing is that I want, like, do you guys have any questions? Like, what questions do you all have? Like, put them in the chat. You know what, you can feel free to hit me on the DM on Instagram. But if there are any questions that are resonating, any questions that you have, again, this podcast will be living in YouTube every other Monday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. Okay, so make sure, if you have not subscribed to the show, make sure that you subscribe to our channel. Make sure that you hit the notification so that you can get notified about each of the broadcasts every other Monday. We will be living here, okay? But any questions, I just want to create an opportunity and space for you all to drop it here. I appreciate every single one of y'all showing up for me. And it's been fun. It's going to get better. It's fun. Yes. Absolutely. So yeah. So any questions, do not be shy whatsoever. Any comments, anything, again, do not leave me hanging. All right. But again, I appreciate y'all. I appreciate every single one of y'all for showing up. And again, just thinking about back to what do you have an appetite for? You know, what is the type of content? And don't be afraid. This is also I used to always say this, you know, when I was broadcasting, you know, from the line and, you know, all of my previous shows. This is a non-judgmental space. So anything that you may have a question about or something that you think you may be embarrassed to ask, like, we are not judging here. We want to share the love and we want to support one another. Again, I want my people to feel empowered. I really do. I want them to hear from us. I want them to see our faces. I want them to hear our voices. And I want them to feel empowered that they can do something individually, you know, whatever that form of activism is individually. And then in the end, they can take that and help their community. So whatever questions you have, you know, this is a non-judgmental space. And so I just want to put that out there. So you're welcome, Joe Ray. You are welcome. Let's see. I do have a question. And again, thank you all for your patience as I am navigating a lot of things. Does anyone have unique ways to distribute access food outside the avenues of food banks, community fridges, etc.? That's a really great question. And I'm definitely going to notate that, Adriana, because I'm actually in conversation with someone actually who is interested in being on the show, who works for an organization that serves, individuals without homes, like they address homelessness. And so that the whole conversation around like food and food, there's a whole thing around food at food banks too. So that's a whole nother conversation. And I'm going to just like let my gripes sit to the side because that's not what this show is here for. But that's a really great question. If anybody has any answers to that, feel free to drop it in. I don't have an answer for you directly, Adriana, but I would certainly notate that and happy, to connect with someone. But if anybody else knows, any of my alums, anybody who has experience with this, like feel free to respond to Adriana. But that's a really, really great question. So definitely will notate that. Any questions for me? Like, what do y'all want to know? I won't tell you all my secrets, but any questions for me, just go ahead and drop it in the chat. Because if not, I'm going to wrap this baby up in just a few moments. I do want you all to stick around because you got to see the beginning and you got to see the end. But again, we're living here every other Monday. YouTube. Next episode is Monday, June 26th at 7:30 p.m. Super excited to have Jennifer. So again, this was a primer. I'm telling you, Jennifer brings all the knowledge, all of the knowledge. Like, I feel like we're going to need like a 3-part series, Jennifer. Like we're going to need a 3-part series. What's up? What else? Let's see. Chris always has all the questions. What has been your biggest revelation during your time off? Oh gosh. I'm trying to figure out how to answer this without going off in a rant. But my biggest revelation, and I feel like this is my biggest revelation in general, that I rather pace myself and do things diligently than just to do. And that it is okay to not have creative moments where you feel like you're tapped out. I never used to understand. You remember y'all, like, let me just say Maxwell, for example, which I think is a wonderful example. Amazing artist. I mean, I've been to his concert, albums, amazing. And this man will go years without coming out with anything. I'm not saying that's what I'm going to do, but I think as creatives, what I've learned, you are entitled to that. There are moments where you are tapped out and you have nothing to give. A, because you've given all that you have. And B, like the creativity just isn't there. And I don't believe in putting out anything if I'm not in this creative space to do so. And that's part of the reason why you all are going to help me, to think of content, that aligns with the themes, that aligns with the platform, because I don't believe in like this being creative 24/7. I don't believe in people are creating just to create. And I don't believe in creating something just to grab your attention just because I need to have this following count. I don't believe in that. So I like to do things with intention, and I had to have a conversation with myself because I easily could have went into this mode of like, let me just start creating stuff based off of what other folks are liking, like, yeah, you take that stuff into consideration, but you also have to go back and look at your platform and make sure that what you're doing is aligning and that it's still resonating with who you are. And so that was the biggest thing. I was just like, I'm allowed to have a moment where I don't feel creative and I'm not doing anything. And that was my biggest revelation. Before, it was like, no, I got to have something all the time. And I realized we live in a world like it's media, it's content, and you got to stay on top of everything. But I knew that was the revelation. Like, Melissa, it is okay to have these moments where you're not creative and you're not just putting out something just to do it. And I stand on that. Period. Period. Yes. Questions. What foods support fibroids? I really appreciate you for asking that question. Actually, wrong thing. Joe, where you at, Joe? I appreciate you for asking that question, Joe. And To have a transparent moment, I'm actually dealing with fibroids too. And I've actually had linked up with a holistic doctor to address that. And I was actually kind of mad at myself because someone who eats, I'm just going to say healthy, all right, I never in a million years thought that I would, challenge with something like this. And one of the things that I learned is that in the holistic doctor and speaking to me said that you could have been eating healthy as a bird, but there are environmental factors and things that induce that things that are environmental factors and stress that can induce that too. And so I'm not going to say that it made me feel like better about the fact that I'm challenged with it, but it was good to know because I was beating myself up, because I'm pretty, I have a pretty standard plant-based diet. Um, Mostly, I do eat some seafood, and I'm very particular about where I eat it at, and where I get it from. So and again, I another reason why I appreciate that because I would actually love to have more conversation around, like women and our body and our reproductives in food like that. I think that's a whole, there's womb health, there's womb healing, and there's a lot of amazing women in this space doing really great work and using herbs to like heal bodies, our bodies. And so I would really welcome that conversation. So I'm not a doctor, and let me just say, y'all know I ain't a doctor, okay? But I appreciate you for raising that question because it is something that I've been challenged with, and I have some of those same questions. But also just note that I was told that I could eat whatever I want, but this world is crazy, and being a Black woman in general, being a Black person, being a person of color in general brings along its own stress, okay? So there's just some things that just may be out of your control. And so I'm not going to say food won't cure it. I'm not here to say that. I'm very much a believer in a plant-based diet, a raw diet. I'm not there yet with the raw diet, but I would love to have more conversations around that as well. So I appreciate you for asking, and happy to connect you with some resources too. You're welcome. You're welcome. So yeah, that's it. Any more questions? Drop them in the chat. And again, if I don't have an answer for you, I can certainly, reach out and get a resource for you as much as my time allows. So yeah. So again, I really appreciate you all for joining. Last plug that I want to make before I conclude the live. And again, I will ask that you all stick around for the amazing visuals at the end. Is to support, my Patreon. So, this work, everything costs. And, aside from that, I would just appreciate people's support in order to keep this moving, like content creating cost. It does. And so just being able to have that support, via Patreon helps for one episode and then the next episode. And then being able to create, these mini documentaries that really speak to the food talks and color vision. So I really do ask that you consider supporting our Patreon. And so you'll see my ticker at the bottom. If you go to patreon.com/food talks and color, we have about 3 or 4 levels that you can sign up for as low as $5 a month. So I just wanted to put that plug in. And, but if you can't financially, I completely understand. You showing up for me is enough. Honestly, it is. But in an effort to keep the lights on, literally in action, to keep the mics working, to keep Steve, All or Nothing Studios, to helping me to do all this amazing production, like the support helps. And so even growing this, I will say, like even helping to grow this, like sharing this, and getting the count up for the subscribers, like that ultimately will help too financially. So even if you can't give anything now, just really sharing the YouTube and letting folks that I'll be live every other Monday. So yeah, but that's it, y'all. I appreciate y'all so much. And that does conclude tonight's broadcast. I'm super excited. Like this was the official relaunch of the show, as I've mentioned before. And I'm going to see you guys again Monday. Remember to mark your calendars for Monday, June 26th. Oh my goodness, I keep getting my dates mixed up. And I will see you all then.